So talking about the World Athletic Championships recently concluded in Beijing, we had, to my mind, one of the more exciting World Championships in recent memory at least. You had, first of all, Kenya, of all countries, topped the medals tally with 7 gold, right? Closely followed by Jamaica and the United States as always, but Kenya just came out of the blue. What do you think that, is this something new which we're seeing, or?
I think there's a lot of talk happening in Europe right now. It's not only us talking about Kenya being on top of the medals tally, but a lot of former athletes, coaches, doctors, guys who do science with athletes, try and figure out how performance enhancement can be done. I think the talk of the town right now is Kenya.
But Kenya has always been great at the distance, middle distances and the long distance running, right?
Yeah, if you really look at it from historical perspective, Wilson Kiprugut won the bronze in 1964 800. That was the only medal they won in 64. But previous to that, they never ran at the Olympics. But after that, they have taken 30% of all medals on track and field. When you say track and field, of course, you'll have to take long distance as a major chunk of it.
Right.
Steeplechase, you can't beat them because they're just too good at the 3000 steeplechase. But of course, over and above, sometimes just imagine if Mo Farah wasn't there in Beijing, the 5,000, 10,000 would have been taken by either the Ethiopians or the Kenyans, which Mo Farah took for UK. But super, you can always call it great performance, fantastic performance. The Kenyans should be happy in Kenya. Unfortunately, they are not, because there's this huge cloud hanging over Kenya.
Some doping allegations, but let's not go there.
There have been a lot of doping allegations. It's not some. It's been 30 athletes, Kenyan top class athletes, have been called in for doping and they have failed the test. It also resonates at a junior level, at a middle level from where they kind of, take the next step to Olympic and World Championship fame. But if they can solve that, which at this moment of time is actually taking a lot of mileage in Kenya, a lot of newspaper space, television space across the US, I think this performance should rank as probably the best African performance by any country ever at any track and field.
So Kenya has traditionally been great at the track part of the track and field. But this time, for the first time ever, they got a gold in the field part of it. Julius Yego won the javelin throw with probably one of the best throws in 14 years, 92 odd meters. And let's remember that the javelins have been modified post 86 and 91. So this was theoretically at least 100 meter plus throw with an unmodded javelin.
It's probably the top 6 throws of all time. I mean, I think the Nordics normally claim this,
Yeah, the East Germans and the Nordics.
Yeah, they've been traditionally good at it. But aren't you surprised that a Kenyan who should actually be running the steeplechase is coming and throwing a javelin at 92?
The funny part of it was that last year, he won the Commonwealth Games at Glasgow as well, with a throw of something like 84 odd meters. So an 8 meter improvement is a 10% improvement. 10% improvement is like a 100 meter guy running at 9 seconds,
A 10% and 8 meters, what you're saying, normally takes 4 to 5 years, and that is the peak. So what you're seeing right now is the peak performance of an athlete. I can't imagine him throwing 96. I can't imagine him throwing 97. But if he throws 90, if he throws 89 in Rio, he takes the gold, because
I think at the World Championship, 86? The silver medal I think was 88 or something. So 89 is good enough to probably win at Rio.
But questions are going to be asked. Questions are going to be asked that a country without any tradition in javelin, without any past heroes, stars, champions anywhere in this world, and honestly, Mohit, I won't talk about Commonwealth right now, because Commonwealth, a lot of things happen in terms of, sometimes non-performances and all of that also count. It's not a great championship. It won't be a great championship ever. But anybody who performs at the World Championship with such a mark, there will be some kind of a question mark that how did he do this?
Apparently the answer is YouTube. So he trained himself by watching YouTube, which means that in India, we perhaps don't need all our fancy foreign coaches and all our stadiums. We just need athletes to learn on YouTube.
I think the next question should be to Lalita, because if he's going to do 8 meters improvement, she's done a 6 seconds. So whether it was the YouTube or it was the coach, I don't know about that.
Okay, coming on to the 100 meters, because at the end of the day, if you're either watching athletics at the Olympics or the World Championships, we all look forward to the 100 meters because, and at least for a few years, we know what you're going to get. We're going to get Bolt, right? But this time, Bolt was coming off a pretty poor season. He hadn't really hit 9.8 also. And Gatlin, the American, who, as you know, has had his own doping controversies in the past, was running below 9.8. So we really thought that Gatlin might win, but Bolt sort of pipped him to the post.
I think if you really look at that particular race or the run up to it, I think it was the good versus the evil. I think that probably got to Gatlin at some point. His entire theory of, after the race, which was like, I'm never going to speak to a British reporter, media, BBC, whatever. He said, I'm not going to speak to any Brit reporter. They were getting at him for all these time. You can always say, like, okay, they have a point. You've been twice caught for dope. You're coming back with improved timings. Normally, you're going to slide back.
Yeah, and he's a 33-year-old, right? So a 33-year-old 100-meter sprinter actually improving on his timing from when he was 24. It doesn't really happen that way normally. I mean, there are exceptions. He might be the exception.
But imagine he won a double gold in 2004 in Athens. He won the 100 and the 200 there. And he's still competing. He's still going to be at Rio. And he's still going
he's going to be on the podium in all probability, unless injury or something.
I probably might stick my hand up and say Gatlin might pick up the gold in Rio. I think he might beat Bolt at that. But Johan Blake, a guy who we have forgotten, who took the silver in London, if he can do something about his injuries and if he can come back, Blake is the only guy, I mean, he's nicknamed the Beast, but he's the only guy who can try and do something here to give Bolt that chance of again reclaiming something that he has done in Beijing and London. But at this moment, as you said, looking at the way Gatlin is running, looking at his confidence levels, even though he lost here, I think he might pip Bolt there.
Yeah, the funny thing was that Bolt got knocked over by a camera person immediately after the race.
Imagine if that was before the 100, if that was before the 200. Just look at the kind of furor it would have raised. I don't think the Chinese would have been too happy.